Captain James is preparing to initiate teleportation to establish contact with extraterrestrial beings. Inside his spacecraft, he awaits clearance from Mission Control before activating the teleportation device. Upon receiving the green signal, he initiates the machine, but initially there is no visible effect. Suddenly, a brilliant light envelops him and he finds himself transported to a different location. Upon regaining consciousness, he realizes he's in orbit around the second planet, facing numerous technical issues with his spaceship. James quickly assesses the situation and discovers that his own ship is out of fuel, prompting him to board an abandoned vessel nearby. Equipping himself with a gas mask, he adjusts the trajectory of the new spacecraft towards the unfamiliar planet and begins the descent. Exiting the atmosphere, he ejects from the ship, safely landing on the ground below. Surveying his surroundings, he initially finds nothing of note until he spots smoke in the distance, signaling the crash of his spacecraft. Checking the planet's oxygen levels, he determines it is breathable and removes his gas mask. James proceeds to transmit a distress signal back to Mission Control, detailing his predicament and requesting a rescue ship due to the destruction of his own craft. He also notes the absence of any signs of intelligent life on the desolate planet. Taking a sip from his water bottle, he hears the faint hum of machinery nearby and accidentally spills his water as he investigates. With his water supply depleted and no sign of rescue, James faces the grim reality of imminent dehydration if he doesn't find water or get rescued soon. Hours pass with no response from Mission Control, so James resigns himself to sleep, hoping for a response the next morning. The following day, James sends another message to Mission Control, marking nearly 24 hours since he arrived on the planet. Determined to survive, he sets out to search for water and is fortunate to stumble upon a small river. Testing the water's purity with his device, he confirms it's safe to drink and refills his water bottle, quenching his thirst. Continuing his exploration, James climbs a hill and uses binoculars to observe a distant animal. Suddenly, he hears a gunshot and spots a robot hunting the creature. Initially thinking the robot is friendly, he waves at it, only to narrowly avoid being shot as the robot targets him instead. Fleeing from the hill, James narrowly escapes the hostile robot, realizing the dangers lurking on this alien world. As Captain James continues his journey, he narrowly avoids being struck by a passing truck. Later that day, he discovers an abandoned stone house and decides to take shelter there for the night, still awaiting a response from Mission Control. With no communication from them, James begins to fear that rescue may not be forthcoming. The next morning, he devises a new plan to seek out the creators of the robots and enlist their help in returning to orbit. Reasoning that a civilization capable of constructing such advanced technology may also possess the means to build spacecraft, he sets out along a paved road, walking for hours. Exhausted, James takes a brief rest and drifts into a dream about his newborn child, only to be startled awake by the sound of a gunshot. Opening his eyes, he sees multiple trucks and robots approaching. Fleeing into the forest, he encounters a robot accompanied by a robotic dog. Attempting to hide, James is spotted by the robot, which opens fire. Injured in the hand, he fights back, disabling the robot's camera and removing its chip before escaping and tending to his wound. Taking another break, James awakens to find the robot dog observing him. Initially wary, he realizes the dog is simply following the signal of its missing chip and retrieves it, befriending the robotic companion. Together, they continue down the road, where James discovers a bottle with an unfamiliar language inscribed on it. Seeking refuge, he finds shelter in an abandoned home. In the abandoned home, Captain James stumbles upon a gun, which he takes for protection along with a projector containing a film. Starting the projector, he watches a family celebrating a holiday, and then notices a newspaper on the floor revealing the aftermath of a devastating World War II. The newspaper reports nuclear attacks on major cities like Washington, D.C., London, and Berlin, with tensions escalating between the warring factions. As footage from the past shows cities being decimated by bombs, James realizes the severity of the situation. Examining another newspaper, James learns that people sought refuge in underground bunkers to survive the nuclear onslaught. Determined to find these bunkers, he spends the night in the abandoned home and prepares to set out in the morning. Gathering supplies, he begins his journey down the road, accompanied by the robot dog, whose back he utilizes to carry his belongings. Surprised by the dog's sudden acceleration, James struggles to keep up as they race ahead. After a frantic run, they arrive at a ruined nuclear power plant where James hopes to find survivors. Following the robot dog into a desolate town, James observes the destruction and realizes it's devoid of human life. Confused, he questions the robot dog, but before he can receive an answer, the dog drops a smoke grenade, signaling danger. A drone appears, attacking them, prompting the robot dog to shield itself with the smoke as James seeks refuge in one of the damaged homes. As more drones and a menacing robot converge on the town, James engages in a tense standoff, firing at the approaching threat. However, the robot proves relentless, forcing James to flee and seek refuge, realizing he's facing a formidable adversary. Suddenly, a surprising turn of events occurs as the robot and the drone engage in a fierce battle, providing James and the robot dog with an opportunity to flee the town. Pressing on, they eventually arrive at the bunkers, which are fortified with an automated defense system that repels attacking drones. Taking refuge inside, James explores the bunker, discovering a dusty room and promptly equipping his gas mask before venturing further. Descending deep underground through a long hallway, James encounters a robot approaching him. Firing his gun proves futile, prompting him to retreat into another hallway leading to a locked door. As the robot ignores him and unlocks the door, James cautiously enters to find a deceased human skeleton. About to investigate further, he receives a message from Mission Control, informing him of their communication issues and the irregularities with the orbit insertion machine. They stress the urgency of returning to the machine to rectify the problem before a rescue mission can be dispatched. Undeterred, James continues his exploration and eventually reaches the control room only to find all the personnel there deceased. This discovery adds to the mystery surrounding the bunker and the fate of those who once operated it. As James explores the control room, he stumbles upon a chilling scene. Automated messages warning of a chemical weapon attack, along with security footage revealing the grim fate of everyone in the bunker. The realization hits him hard. The devastation caused by some form of chemical warfare has wiped out even those seeking refuge underground. With despair creeping in, James vents his frustration by striking the lifeless skeleton before receiving another message from Mission Control. Mission Control delivers shocking news. A significant miscalculation has occurred, revealing that the machine arrived on the new planet years earlier than initially thought. As James absorbs this revelation, he notices a poster on the wall depicting the machine alongside a Bible verse referencing the return of Jesus. Nearby, a news article speculates on the origin of the machine, with world leaders debating whether it's of alien, divine, or governmental origin. The realization dawns on James that the machine meant to establish contact with intelligent life has inadvertently caused the extinction of his own people. Further twists reveal that James himself is an alien and the devastated planet is none other than Earth, caught in the throes of its own destruction. Stricken with grief and hopelessness, James emerges from the bunker, his dreams of finding survivors and constructing a new spaceship shattered. Contemplating suicide, he is momentarily swayed by thoughts of his children, but ultimately chooses to continue living. The movie concludes with James grappling with the weight of his existence and the harrowing truth of humanity's demise. If you like this recap, make sure to check out our other videos and leave a sub.